Your production company has such an impressive slate of projects that are coming out this year. It's just so different from the next. What are the types of narratives that you're most attracted to telling? And what can you share about what's ahead for your company in 2024?
That's a great question. Our first film was a movie called On Thin Ice. That was an ode to my great grandfather. He was an immigrant Jew, came to the States in 1923 for a better life, escaped the anti-Jewish pogroms in Poland, and he quickly started speed skating, became a well-known speed skater in the tri-state area, but he wasn't able to skate on Olympic ice because of the double stigma at the time.
Mm,
And so I grew up hearing his stories and wondered myself, like, imagine I wasn't able to win a Golden Globe for a movie I produced or win an Oscar, etc. And not being able to reach the pinnacle of my career because of who I am at the core really struck a chord with me. And so I went and just put this documentary together for him as an ode to him, but I had never been behind the camera before. I'd never produced before, never directed before. And I wrote it, I directed it, I produced it, and I put it all together from scratch, put the talent packaging together, the financing together, the
mm.
distribution, everything, and had a great team. My brother was an instrumental part of that film and edited the movie and went to interviews with me. And my mother was a huge part of it. It was a real family affair, and everybody put so much time and care into it because it was a personal story to us. But athletes just started reaching out to us, like Evander Holyfield and Allison
Hmm.
Felix and Lou Gaines and Robbie Rogers, and it ended up being a much bigger movie than we anticipated. And Entertainment Studios Motion Pictures came on board and distributed the movie. And people just came to the screening and hired me to produce their movies. And our company was born. And now we make about 5 movies per year, approximately. And you asked about movies that we gravitate towards. And that's why I mentioned the first movie that we made, because it was a social justice film that was really important, we thought, to tell. And
Yeah.
so any content that comes to me that has an important message behind it that could help people in some capacity, um, I'm interested in. But also, we make a lot of action movies. I just love cinema in general. So, the movies I grew up with, Die Hard and all those movies, those 90s action movies, and then we get to movies like Ordinary People, A River Runs Through It, movies that struck a chord with me as a young kid. And I gravitate towards dramas like that, festival darlings like that as well. So yeah, our company is very eclectic in the sense of the films that we take on, and we're pretty diverse. We have a
Hmm.
documentary coming out this year, in addition to a lot of the action and horror films that we're doing. It's our second documentary, and it's a really cool film called Mad Props about a guy named Tom Biachini, who always wanted to be involved in the film business, couldn't really get into it, but started collecting movie props and would go around the country
Mm.
to all these auctions and just finding the greatest movie props of all time. And it's really the movie's such a history of film, and he takes you on this journey to finding, like, the volleyball from Castaway and the ball gag from Pulp Fiction, and it's all these little fun instances of him, like, locating these major movie props in some of the most notable films of all time. So it's a really important story for just people that love film, just cinephiles, and so we're super excited about that. So that just gives you an idea. Like, we go from that to a film like Hellfire that we have coming out through Saban Films, and that's just a high octane action film that's a lot of fun with Stephen Lang and Harvey Keitel. We actually have another movie coming up as well, and Dolph Lundgren is in it too. And Stephen Lang just kicks butt, man. Like in Avatar, he's a rock star, but in this movie he does such a great job as well.
Well, that perfect segue this next question. Like you're saying, though, you've now gotten into writing, producing, and directing. How have your experiences behind the camera now impacted the way that you approach your work as an actor and vice versa?
It's a great question. The first time I wore all three hats was on a movie called Wolf Mountain, where I starred in it, I wrote it, and I produced it. And and that was a super interesting opportunity for me to kind of be behind the scenes while I'm also acting in the movie. And I remember being in a scene and seeing a light falling, and the scene would end, and I immediately go to the light. So you always have you're always wearing the different hats, but I'm somebody that's always kind of operated that way.
Hmm.
I work well like under pressure, and I work well when I'm kind of on the go like that. So I think it's all about the specific person, and there's some people that might just want to focus on one thing and say, "Hey, I'm just going to write this movie, or I'm just going to produce it, or I'm just going to act in it." And hey, I love that too. Like there's nothing like going to the Sony studios and I have a recurring role on Rap Shit, and I just walk in and I don't have to worry about making the day and everybody doing
Hmm.
their job. I sit there and I eat the awesome food and I chat with the great cast and just hang out. So there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, there's something about it for me. I just love it's just riveting for me to wear multiple hats, and I think I personally thrive that way. So yeah.
Making. I also imagine as a writer, you have such a strong sense of who these characters are, but when you cast your actors, so often you want them to make them their own. How do you create the space for them to do that?
I think a lot of that is in the direction too, right? The
Hmm.
director allowing the actor to riff and go for it. A good example is when we did this movie Reboot Camp, and Ivo Raza, the director, let Ja Rule and David Koechner have this moment where they just totally riffed. And that movie was all about improv. But it was a script. Ivo wrote an incredible script, but there were certain scenes where you could totally improv, and this was one of them where he let Ja Rule and David Koechner go, and these are two legends, right? I mean, David
Hmm.
Keck, forget it. Like he's a comedic legend, and Evo knew, and he said, "Guys, go ahead," and they riffed, and it was like the funniest part of the entire movie. So I think a lot of it comes down to the director letting the actors be free and saying, "Yeah, I created this great script, or the writer wrote this awesome script, but we hired you guys for a reason, and so we're going to let you guys go and do your thing when necessary." It's like Mel Gibson on Bandit, for instance. Mel Gibson's an absolute legend. We know how talented of a director he is and actor he is. And so to let him go and do his thing sometimes is like you want to do that.
Hmm.
That's why you hire a legend like that. So yeah, it's a lot about the director allowing that and the producers making the environment comfortable for the actors and allowing them to feel like they're in a safe space where they can create. Because I know when I'm on set and I feel the vibe of the set and the producers and the director and the writer and everybody there, and I know if I feel comfortable right away. And if I don't, my creative juices aren't flowing as much.
Yeah.
But if I do, I feel open to just be myself and create. And that's such an awesome experience to have when you feel that way, because the art is so much better.
It's that trust that leads to fantastic performances that we get to see on screen. And as you're writing a project, how are you deciding whether or not you want to star in it? What is that decision process like?
That's a good question. On Murder at Hollow Creek, I started writing it, and I always kind of just, I don't know, just pictured myself in the role.
Mm,
There was never really, like, I never really pictured another face. I think some writers, when they start writing, like, they envision actors playing the role as they're writing
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Certainly do that. And I envisioned Jack Kesey playing my brother in the movie, and I actually cast him in the role. But I envisioned myself playing the role of Gavin in Murder at Hollow Creek, and that's just the way that it happened because I envisioned it that way. But there are times, like I said, like there were other roles in the movie. I saw other individuals that I had either worked with or that I'd seen in other stuff. I saw Jack Kesey in this movie called Peel. I said, "This guy's unbelievable," and I almost actually got that movie opposite Jack Kesey, and I didn't get the role. And I said, "Man, I guess this is an opportunity for us to work together now." So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I that's how I work. I kind of see people in the roles, and if I'm one of those people, then great. If I'm not, then then it goes to somebody else.
That's also going to be so helpful for you as a writer, knowing when you have somebody pictured in mind for a role and writing to their strengths. And we're living in such an exciting time in this industry where we're seeing emerging voices take control over their career and create their own stories, yourself included. What advice would you give aspiring filmmakers who may want to follow in a similar career path?
Yeah, just don't shy away from what you want to do. I think there are so many people conjure up so many potential obstacles that
Mm,
they could potentially have along the way. And it really just takes you jumping into it to see that you can accomplish certain things. It's just really taking that first leap. I'm so glad that I did that with my first movie, On Thin Ice. I had no idea who to call, I had no idea what to do, but I just said, all right, take it step by step. Call a cinematographer you've worked with. Just start there. Just get on the ground, just shoot something. And then, build from there. We shot at Ellis Island, and then we went and shot the next thing, and then we said, okay, this is how it's coming together. Now we need X, Y, and Z person to interview. Now we need to build this, and then Evander Holyfield came on board, and then this one, and then Apollo Ono. So I think, yeah, just jumping in and taking risks and not being afraid. And there's so many outlets and ways to get your material out there now. But
yeah.
yeah, not being afraid to get out there, cold call, pick up the phone, call a producer that you admire, a director you admire, and take it from there. I mean, maybe you'll end up in somebody's office that you didn't anticipate. I certainly did. So yeah, just be fearless, go out there.
Some of the projects that you've had a hand in producing have gone on to be incredibly well received. What's been the most surprising part about starting Price Productions thus far?
The most exciting, surprising part of starting Price Productions so far, that we would make so many movies per year, and that, um, yeah, that would be the most surprising part. I think when I started the company, I didn't anticipate that we would be making approximately 5 movies per year.
Hmm.
And we've made 6 movies per year. And this was during a time in the business that was unprecedented because we had the strike, we had COVID, we had all these things, and so it's surprising to me that we've been able to move forward and have success during these crazy times in the business. And it's just a testament to our love for cinema and wanting to tell important stories and just loving what we do. And we get to come to work every day and just be excited about making movies. And when I get to be on set, it's an awesome experience for me every time. And like we talked about, it's different every time. Sometimes
Hmm.
I go to set and it's more about the producing for me. And there's sometimes I go to set, it's more about the acting or the writing or whatever it is. But there's always it's like a summer camp. Like going to set, you make these memories that really like stay with you your entire career and relationships that stay with you your entire career. And it's an experience with a group of people that is so unique and genuine, and you remember it. Yeah, you remember it forever. I mean, I look back on some of the sets that I've been on, um and I yeah, I could always smile and remember certain things that have maybe gotten me to the next step in my
Hmm.
careers. So yeah.
Beautifully said. Not only are you producing so many projects throughout the year, they're quality projects. I got one final question for you. You were talking about this earlier, but you're going to have a recurring role on Rap Shit. Is there anything that you can tease about your character in that?
Yeah, I play a record exec in Rap Shit, and I have some fun scenes with Jonica Booth in Rap Shit. She's a fantastic actress, and we had a lot of fun together. She's very funny. You can follow her on Instagram. She's hilarious, and I think she's going to be a major star. And yeah, the show was so much fun. Meeting Issa Rae was
Hmm.
great, and she created the show. And Max just did HBO Max. They just did such a great job on the show, and I'm excited that it got picked up for a second season, so I could, be in it. Uh, and and all these actors can get to showcase what they can do because there's so many talented actors on the
Yeah.
show. They deserved a second season. I'm sorry it didn't get picked up for number three, but they had a nice run, and I was honored to be involved in it.